Welcome back to How China Works. We are a cross-cultural bridge between the East and the West, with a strong focus on helping the world become China smarter and Chinese go global. Well, it doesn't make sense if we talk about how China works in today's global arena without having a Chinese voice. So we create this special episode interviewing a young, bright, world-savvy Chinese changemaker who actually has risen to be the shining star or the lighthouse for billions of Chinese youth to connect globally. So today, our special guest is TIANQI. He is the president of the China branch of the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance and CEO of APEC Voices of the Future in China, listed among the 30 under 30 Forbes 2018 Best Social Entrepreneurs. Besides his accomplishments under APEC, he co-founded an environmental technology company and served as the founding co-chair for the Oxford Emerging Market Summit. And he has very important cross-cultural missions to fulfill. So in today's episode, we're going to discover a little about it. So welcome, TIANQI. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Ying. Hi, everyone.
So when I was doing some research about you, about your stories and wonderful achievement, I was learning about you. Some keywords like APEC, Voices of Future,
Yes.
and G20, Oxford, Forbes 30 under 30, as I just mentioned, environmental protection, charity, social impact, keep coming up. So what are the most representatives of you? Or in one line for our audience to know you better, who is TIANQI?
Well, it's a really tough question to.
We always start with the biggest question.
Yes, to be honest, it's quite difficult to summarize all the things in one sentence. But I think to me, I want to. I want to not only to create a good career for myself, but also I really want to make some positive changes to, our fellow young people in China or even across Asia Pacific. I'm trying my best at least, but I think it's not just everything about myself, but really I want to create some positive changes. And I'm very proud that we're actually doing this via the APEC Voices of Future or the G20 Entrepreneur Alliance, or even with my network from Oxford. And I think it's hard to summarize, but I think keywords is not just about myself, but also how to do more positive things for other people around us.
Amazing. I think this is a good summary of what you have done, and as humble as possible here.
Wow.
So I guess our audience are already as curious as I am right now. So let's start with G20 YEA, which stands for G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance, right? What does really do here in China? What does it want to achieve here in China, particularly this year?
Yes. First of all, the G20 Young Entrepreneur Alliance is affiliated organization with the B20, which is the business sector under the G20 itself. And we are focusing on young entrepreneurship and also small and medium-sized enterprises. And we are officially written and also officially affiliated with the G20 in 2015 with a special report and document created by the G20. So we become a quite important branch of B20 2015, and according to official data from the B20, we represent over 1 million young entrepreneurs under the G20 structure.
Wow, that's pretty solid.
And our employment, people that employed by our member enterprises, the number is 12 million people. Wow. So we have massive influence across the globe, and I'm very humbled and honored to represent China in this big organization. And in China, of course, we are cooperating with lots of esteemed organization, and we are trying to select and also nurture the best young entrepreneur in China with greatest potential. Because this organization is very practical. It's not, just for public relationship, not to just make a wonderful speech in the big platform. No, it's not only about that. It's a very practical platform. Because my counterparts in other 19 member countries, they are all presidents of the official young entrepreneur organization in the government. So their influence is very solid. And the young entrepreneur delegate that they recruit in this platform are all focusing. The thing that they want is international collaboration.
Right.
So everything is after this. So we create a lot of successful cases to bridge different young entrepreneurs and industries to achieve international collaboration.
Great.
So this is what we are after right now.
So when it comes to bridging, right, I think I like this concept a lot. We mentioned a lot in our show, like being a bridge between different cultures and different nationalities. So can you share with us a little bit what your role like day to day in this special initiative? Because I feel like you're doing bridging work almost every single day, right?
Yes. So now, first of all, domestically, we the things that we are doing right now is to recruit top young entrepreneurs for the international summit in the coming May. And in Japan, and the president of the vice prime minister of Japan will attend this international summit. So it's quite important, and this is the most fundamental task that I'm doing right now, is to select. We hope can be the best, best delegates we can find, and send them to the international platform and help them along the way to achieve international collaboration. This is the number one task that we are doing right now. And the second one is because the international summit is only 3 days, and all the sessions will be shared by 20 different countries, 20 different delegations. So. Therefore, the time for China itself is quite limited. So another task, another thing that I'm doing right now is to preparing to host for a China summit in the end of this year or early next year.
Is this the first time you host
Yes, this is the first time.
Event?
Yes, this is the first time. And we'll invite the presidents of 20 branches to China, and with their delegations, about 300 people. And we'll host forum, and most importantly, we'll do roadshows for our member G20 YEA China young entrepreneurs. We hope them have, because this is a China summit now, right? We can call the shot. So all the things will be China themed, and there will be plenty of time for our China members to do roadshow or form international collaboration.
That's cool. Based on what you just shared, I have 2 questions specifically for this. It's perfectly fitted to this theme that I am curious to know. While I was learning about your platform, there's one special line in one of the interviews you've done before caught my eye. Specifically, you have mentioned that the annual admission rate of the world's top universities, like Harvard University and Oxford University, about 2% to 5%, but the winning rate of your organization, like
Yes.
I guess that's the APEC, Future of Voices.
Yes.
We're gonna touch on a little bit, but similar, I guess.
Yes.
The winning rate you're comparing with the G20 for the Chinese representative is only like 0.008
Yes.
something. It's like
Yes.
very hard, and it's crazily hard.
Yes.
So, to be the lucky dog or lucky dogs selected by this China Young representative in this global initiative, what in your eyes are the must or the most important criteria?
We have a system to explain this because we need to make it perfectly clear for our applicants.
Right.
Especially we attract, last year data is we attract over 107,000 applicants globally. They're all for the China branch, and their citizenship are all Chinese, but they're from all the
They're global Chinese.
Yes. We have applicants from Harvard, Oxford, and then all the top universities. And from these 107,000 applicants, we select six.
Six.
Yes, only six. So it's crazy, and I
can imagine the hard work.
Yes.
That.
We have a quite complicated system to explain how it works, and you can see that on our website. It's all public, and we want to make it very clear for our applicants. But to me personally, I think if you want to be a delegate, which is the winner from this competition, you need to not only excellent in your own field, you also need to show very good social responsibility, because that's what almost all our delegates, we have been doing this for the past 10 years, because the APEC Voices of Future China, it starts in year 2008. So this year is our 11th anniversary. We're doing this for over a decade, and all the delegates, I think I dare to say this, all the delegates we have selected share this important characteristic, which is we need to not only achieve excellence in our field, we also need to show great social responsibility. And there are a lot of our, we call them alumni, because they are part of this network. Many of our alumni, they give up high salary in investment banking, in consulting, and they start their charity foundation.
So what is the key drive behind that motivation? They gave up the privileged job and careers.
I think that's quite different up to every different individual, but I think the care for other people and their responsibility not only to themselves, not only to their own family, but to the society. I think this is something that we all share. And I think this is a very, very important characteristic that we are looking for our participants with the APEC Voices of Future.
Great work for competition and great conference like this. I think it's very impactful for connecting and understanding people behind their motivation.
And I think caring for fellow young people is not only shared by our delegates, which is the winners, but also our finalists and many of our applicants. And I think we're dare to say that our organizers, our fellow organizers, and my colleagues with this also share this characteristic. Because one important evidence for this is that although we have over 100,000 applicants every year, we never charge a penny for the competition. There are a lot of people advise me that, hey, TIANQI, you need to, they are attending a very important
take advantage of
activity, and you need to you have your budget. You have your budget. It's reasonable for you to charge like 10 yuan or 20 yuan or whatever from them, but we insist not charge a penny from our participants, no matter how much financial pressure that we're facing. And also, we not only not charge them, and we launch scholarship within our competition to help those underprivileged participants and those with excellent performance.
So it is a social enterprise.
Yes,
Do you raise funds from sponsors?
Yes. We have Chinese government. They have some funding support, but not much. And we also do fundraising. So I like to also call on all the audience who wants to join us in this good
Don't
venture.
miss this.
Don't miss this, and please contact me. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, that interestingly raises to the second question that I have for when it comes to both of these conferences. One is G20, YEA, and you have a summit for that, right?
Yes.
And for the APEC, Voice of the Future, the final candidate will be selected to join.
Yes, the big APEC summit.
And then we'll be meeting the heads, the global heads over there, right?
Yes.
So here the question is, how important is it to let the youth voice to be heard by global heads? Like such a responsibility every day.
Well, it's tough questions. Also, I think, at least to my own understanding, I think, as our chairman Ma once said, the future belongs to the young people.
President Xi said that as well.
Yeah. All the leaders said this, and they actually really believe in this. And the future belongs to the young people because they are the world leaders. But a few years after, and the new generation will become world leaders. And what kind of world will we create is very important. And they are very interested in how the young people are thinking right now, what key characteristic all the new generations share, how different they are compared to their generation. All these things they are very interested in. And also, I think, because our delegates has been officially hosted by over 40 heads of state for the APEC member economy. And the young people, because all the delegates, no matter it's from China or other member economy, they are very, very talented. And they have a great potential to achieve a lot of things that seems to be impossible today. And I think the potential to make positive changes and I would say that the importance of connectivity in this globalization world are two, I think, quite important points.
Right. So can you share a small example of how the youth voice be heard in this particular project initiative?
Yeah.
Let's say when the selected youth actually are facing with some heads of the countries in G20, right?
Yes.
So how could their voice actually drive change to happen, right?
Yes. I think a quite interesting example is the APEC Youth Report. Because it is a quite important document from the APEC system led by our youth delegates. So every year our fellow youth delegates will gather and they will analyze from their research what kind of advice they think is very important and needs to be heard by the top leaders across Asia Pacific. So over 100 youth delegates across 21 member economy will together write this youth report.
It's going to be very diversified.
Yes,
right?
quite diverse, and it take time for us to reach consensus. And but
it's important to bring voices together.
Yes, but it's very important, and I think from this, not only the result itself is very important, and from the negotiation process, we can understand how diversity works and how we can reach consensus despite our diversity and sometimes disagreement.
That's very, very important.
Yeah.
So your work, both at G20 YEA
Yes.
and APEC, Voice of Future, right now, I think is like your key to babies or something more than that, right?
Yes.
So in one way, you constantly engaging with, let's say, government officials,
Yes.
international organizations,
Yes.
influencers, and maybe large corporations. In another, you are actually connecting and engaging with young students and professionals here in China, more specifically. So, which means you have to understand both, right? You understand their need, expectation, and challenges. So, are there any?
I'm trying, actually.
You talk to both, as I see how busy you are. So, are there any kind of cultural understanding gaps between these two different generations or groups? Generally speaking, the previous one were quite achieved already, and the young generation they have their desire and needs, expectation.
Yes.
So, generally speaking, are there kind of understanding gaps between each other? How do you bridge that?
I think I like to share in two dimensions. Of course, one is that you mentioned, like you said, the difference between young professionals who already choose their career and achieve something, and the other group is the young students who are about to start their career. I think because we interact with a lot of young people, and especially very talented one every year, a key problem that they are quite anxious and nervous about is not the lack of choices, but on contrary, they have too many choices. They have too many options to choose. That's something that they are anxious for. And especially for those quite talented ones. And I've met so many people like this. They seems to be very confident. They seems to be very, of course they're very talented, but actually they're very anxious, they're very suffering, and the key reason for this anxiety is they don't know how to make choices.
So
they have so many options in front of them. So what we are trying to do with the APEC is not only to select, but also to nurture. To shorten the gap between the talented young students with the accomplished young professional, and especially and also some industry leaders. So we host a lot of training sessions for the industry leaders, like Mr. Ma Weihua, who is the former president of China Merchant Bank, and is also the president of the China Entrepreneur Club, 中国企业家俱乐部的理事长. So he's very influential. He and a lot of leaders will give training session to our talented participants for the APEC. From this experience, we hope they can make it clear what kind of option, what it means for you to be an investment banker, what it means to...
Very focused.
Yes, very focused. Because the reason, one dimension is they have so many choices, and the other, they are not clear about what every choice means. They don't know what it means for you to be an investment banker, so imagination or some second-hand information can be quite misleading.
Do you find these kind of dilemmas or situation particularly happening among the young Chinese talent professionals are similar or different from the rest of the world?
I think it's something that we shared no matter where they are.
Right.
Yes.
Young people are facing this kind of challenges.
So we are trying to do this, and we also launch training base. We call the Future Leader training base in top high schools and top universities across China. And with the same goal to bridge this gap. And I think the second dimension I'd like to share is because I last year I graduated from Oxford MBA, and from this 1 year of studying at Oxford, I realized a very important difference, and this also related with the different view from the East and the West. I'm quite shocked of how little, I would say, many of the developed world, how little the developed world know about China.
For example?
There are too many examples. All they know is because I think that comes to be a comparison compares to how much we know about
the world,
US,
the rest.
The US. I have to say, maybe my sample size is too small, but I think compares to how much we know about the US, some of our peers in the United States knows really tiny part about China. And I think we are both two superpower in the world. And this actually gives me some confidence of China's rising position across the world, and so that's why. And I think this is not just about China, and many emerging market countries have this kind of interesting situation. We know a lot about the developed world. Mm-hmm. You can see,
Internet helps.
Yeah, internet helps, and also with our education system, in our history book,
yeah, we have to. Chinese.
Yes, we have to.
Right?
We have to learn about United States history. We have to know about Europe history. But if you ask a child from the UK, probably their history book will never talk about China before. So
interesting. So you know that at the end of the day, people like us are trying to bridge that gap of understanding and communication. So one of the key missions of our show, How China Works, is to foster empathy and win-win. Because in today's world, where the technology, business, and cultures are increasingly shifting and shaping our decision making, so it's almost impossible not to be biased or sometimes lack of understanding of one country. So what are the best approaches that you could suggest to actually break that barrier you just mentioned, to make up for it?
Well, I think first we need to keep an open mind. You can only leave the window open, and then the sunshine will come into your room. So keep the window and keep the door open is very important. But to be honest, that's sometimes can be quite difficult. And
we all understood.
Yeah, sometimes can be quite difficult. I think this is number one. And second is I think it's very important for us to learn from the first-hand information. So that's why I also co-founded the Oxford Emerging Market Summit at Oxford, which is the unique thing about this event is we learn things. We hope people can learn things from the first-hand information, not just via media. So that's why we group, Oxford students across different departments. We organize two teams. We organized 8 teams representing 8 different emerging market countries. And each team, all the members are from this emerging market country. And they are from different departments at Oxford. So from this, we want to hear the first-hand information from people actually come from this country or who have spent over 20 years living in this country. I think the information that they provide is quite important. And,
yes. In today's fake news world, from time to time, every country is trying to tackle this problem with their own method. But I think at the end of the day, it's really who we believe and why we believe.
Yes.
And I think it's important to have to know your community, to foster a community with cultural intelligence, like what you just mentioned, the first-hand information.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit about the summit, the impact. And we heard from you that there's a lot of talented people could be selected. Of course, talented young Chinese people are coming from everywhere, not just from elite family, but as probably you know, income disparity is still a big thing in many households in China.
Yeah.
And China is huge from east to west and north to south. So are there any effective practice in your ventures that help generate the equal opportunities, especially when it comes to providing those kids from less, you know, elite or kind of like affluent families also gain this opportunity to be, you know, to enjoy the, you know, the benefits reward that it creates. Especially.
First of all, as I mentioned before, we charge 0 from all the participants. So that's lower the threshold for any young people who are interested. So and we not only we have no charges in this competition. We also launch scholarship. So for example, last year all the 6 delegates their budget to travel to Papua New Guinea, where the APEC summit is held, all their international traveling fee and their registration fee for the APEC summit, we cover all of them. So a few of our delegates, they are not from very wealthy background.
They're from humble families.
Yes, they were, and we especially collaborate with the quite influential charity organization. We give 1 seat to a very talented poor high school students in Sichuan province, and we hope from this example we can set up a good example for rest of the
team.
Yes, whether of their peers in the less wealthy area. So 0 threshold to join, and we also have good scholarship to fund you, to help you finance your budget for the entire competition. So I think there's no problem for any participants to join, and we only examine how talented you are. Your family background has nothing to do with your final result.
What is the ultimate goal for the finalist to, like say, being with the president at the summit? But after that, what would happen for those selected ones?
I think, of course, it is a big national or international honor. But I think honor is, it's just a very tiny reward. I think to me, because I was one of the 3 delegates back in 2013, the biggest reward is the network. Because from that moment on, you know you are not alone. You have, because our alumni network is incredible. They are the top young talents in, I would say, almost all the fields you can imagine. We have business leaders, we have political leaders, we have writers who sell over 1 million copies. We have celebrities. We have all the talented one in our network. So from then on, you know you're not alone, and we have a great bond. All the members have great bond with the entire organization because they know it's one of their most important turning point or milestone when they are young. And our alumni is very keen to give back to the organization. I think that's also one of the most important reason why I'm very confident that our organization will have great potential in the future.
Interesting. I can imagine, maybe not in a few years even, this organization will grow to be big and also impacting more young global leaders, not just in China.
I'm quite convinced.
Yeah, so what do you see, with that actually being said, what do you see this organization, let's say G20 YEA, in 2 to 3 years?
In 2 to 3 years, I think first of all we want to connect as many as possible the top entrepreneurs across China, and we want to help them to go globally. That's one. And the second is we have already connected with I would say, the best resources across 20 different countries. And the second thing we want to do is to bring those international resources, call it, the good industries or the top enterprises, to bring them to China, to the Chinese market. And from this, as our Chinese government said, 走出去,
引进来.
Yes, these things can happen at the same time. And these two things are very meaningful and also can generate great value.
So related to that, culturally speaking, are there any kind of challenges that might emerge when it comes to Chinese entrepreneurs going global? That actually is one of your focus, 走出去. What are still the key barriers that, in your mind?
Well, this is something that we are exploring, and we actually just started. So I think I might not have a perfect answer for this, but I think, first of all, you need to examine all the opportunities you have rationally, from the legal perspective, from the commercial perspective, even from the political perspective. So that's why, for the Chinese or any enterprises to go to the international market is not a very easy thing. So I think that's although it's not easy, but I think if we can do this, that will generate great value and also benefit so many people that we want to benefit.
Okay, one last question.
Yeah.
What is leadership in your view?
I think leadership to me comes with two dimensions. First of all, is about strategy, the decision that you make. Because if you are the leader, you are the last one. You are the guy to make the final call. Everyone, you are the one to set the direction. Everyone will just follow, and so you carry great responsibility, and your judgment is the key. So number one, if you want to be a good leader, you need to have good judgment, and you need to keep learning, keep absorbing new things to help you to make the correct or the best decision possible. So one thing is judgment and strategy, and second, I think, is how to connect and work with other people. Because to me, I think a great leader does not necessarily to be expert in every field. What we need to do is to have all the top experts to join your team, to work together to form a powerful and a collaborative team to achieve the same goal. And so I think to be a good leader, you need to just do two things well. You need to make the correct decision, and second, you need to form a quite capable and effective team. And that's all.
Wonderful. Any book to recommend for our listeners that you most recently reading, or the one you like best?
Two books I like to recommend.
Cool.
One is 论语 from Confucius, because it's as a Chinese you need to read this because it's a guidebook, I think.
As a non-Chinese, you could also read.
Yeah,
this.
for your daily behavior, it said 半部论语治天下. I think it's.
So you read this when you were a child.
Yes, a lot. And if you have questions, it's a guidebook for your daily behavior and daily practice. And second is it's from Buddhism, 六祖坛经. Because I think Confucianism, it solves a lot of questions you have from daily life. But the one thing Confucianism probably failed to answer is how your understanding with the entire world. And that's what Buddhism can tell you. And because we, as just one individual, we are a tiny part of this whole world, especially with the galaxy or the entire universe. So sometimes you can have fear about how small you are, how powerless you are. But Buddhism can, to a certain dimension, can help you to resolve this fear and to tell you what world actually is, how to interact with yourself, interact with others, how to interact with the entire world. So the second book I would like to recommend is 六祖坛经.
Okay, no worries, our listeners. We'll add this information when our show get released.
Okay.
Oh, Tianqi, thank you so much. No words
No
can
problem.
actually really show my appreciation
Yes.
for you joining our show.
The pleasure is all mine.
I really hope our listeners can follow you if they could contact you for future, your updates, your ventures, to know about your ventures. So what are the best way to reach out to you?
I think you can add me on LinkedIn. Just search my name.
All right, I will also add link over there.
All right, no problem.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.